Hello everyone. Before we jump into today's story, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. And don't forget to leave a comment telling me where you're watching from and what time it is right now, because that way, YouTube will keep showing you more stories just like this one. Alright, sit back, relax, turn down the lights if you dare. And now, let's begin. The first night, I blamed the cold on the altitude. The cabin was buried deep in the Vermont woods, secluded luxury. The Airbnb listing said, and I wanted that. Quiet, no neighbors. Just me, a few days off work, and zero notifications. But something felt off the second I stepped inside. That it wasn't anything dramatic. Just this weird stillness. Like the house had been waiting too long. The air smelled stale, like dust and wood that had been locked up too long. I remember thinking, this place is too quiet. Not peaceful, just quiet in a way that made my ears ring. There was no TV, no Wi-Fi, barely a cell signal. The kind of quiet that made your own heartbeat sound loud. The main living area was nice enough. Fireplace, old armchair, mismatched rugs. There was a hallway with 3 doors, a bathroom, a bedroom, and one that didn't open. That door had no knob, no lock, no markings. Just a flat wooden surface that jutted slightly out from the wall, like it didn't quite belong. At first, I thought it was a closet. But when I knocked, hollow, not wood, not brick. It echoed like an empty room. The first night, I woke up freezing. The heater worked fine. I'd set the thermostat to 72, but around 3:12 a.m., I woke up shivering like the windows were open. They weren't. The second night, I heard the noise. It sounded like a slow drag, like something heavy being pulled across a wooden floor. Then a low thump. Then silence again. I laid there in bed, eyes open, the cold air making my breath visible. Thump. Closer this time. I grabbed my phone. 3:12 a.m. again. The noise had stopped. I didn't sleep after that. The next morning, I went back to that door in the hallway. Still no handle. Still flush with the frame, like it was never meant to be opened. But now there were marks I hadn't noticed before. Faint smudges, gray and oily, around where a handle should have been. Like someone had touched it. A lot. I pressed my ear to it. Silence. But the cold radiating from that wood made me jerk back like I'd touched metal in winter. I messaged the host. Hey, just wondering, what's the third door in the hallway? Doesn't open. They didn't respond. By the 4th night, I started noticing small changes. My bag was unzipped when I got back from a walk. My charger was missing and then showed up under the couch. I kept telling myself I was being paranoid. I even Googled altitude paranoia, like that would explain the weirdness. That night, I pushed the armchair in front of the door with no handle, just to see. At 3:12 a.m., I woke up to a sound I still can't explain. Not a bang, not a thump, more like pressure. Like the air in the room got pushed inward. The cabin creaked. The kind of groan a house makes when it moves. That's what it felt like the house was shifting. I got out of bed and walked to the hallway. The armchair was moved. Not tipped, not dragged, just moved. A clean, straight slide to the left. Like someone had gently pushed it aside. The door was still there. Still shut, but now there were fingernail scratches just beneath where the handle should have been. I barely slept after that. The next day, the host finally responded. A short message. That door isn't part of the rental. Please don't try to access it. No explanation. No apology. I replied. Why is it so cold around it? And why does it sound like something's moving at night? No reply. That evening I went outside, circled the cabin, and counted the windows. There should have been 3 on that side. One for the bedroom, one for the bathroom, and one for whatever room was behind the handleless door. There were only 2 windows. No third window. Just solid rotted wood siding. So I knocked, not on the inside. From the outside. Right where the third room should have been, and I swear I heard 3 knocks back. Perfectly spaced. I was done. I packed up my stuff. Called a friend to find me a motel in town. I turned around to grab my keys off the counter. They weren't there. I searched every inch of the kitchen. My bags, under furniture. Gone. It was already getting dark. I sat on the floor, hands shaking, and tried calling the host. No signal. I moved to the window, holding my phone high like some idiot. 2 bars. Dialing. Then I heard it. Knock. Knock. From the hallway. I froze. The door was behind me. 3 more knocks. Soft. Measured. From the other side. I didn't answer the knocks. I didn't move. Just stood in the hallway with my back to that impossible door. Phone still raised. Arm going numb. The knocking didn't come again. Instead, something slid under the door. At first, I thought it was a scrap of paper. I bent down slowly, terrified it might move again, and picked it up. It was a photo. A Polaroid. Grainy, faded. It showed the hallway I was standing in. Same rug, same ugly wallpaper, same flickering bulb. But in the photo, there was someone standing in front of the door. I looked up. No one was there. Looked again at the photo. It wasn't just anyone, it was me. Same hoodie, same jeans, same expression I was probably wearing right then, except in the photo, my mouth was open like I was screaming. I dropped it. I bolted for the front door. Lock. Deadbolt jammed. I yanked at it, full body weight, twisting, hitting, begging it to open. Nothing. I went for the windows. Nailed shut. All of them. Even the ones I swore I'd opened the first day to air the place out. I stopped trying to leave. Just for a second. Just to think. And I realized something I hadn't noticed before. It was quiet. Too quiet. No wind. No birds. No rustling trees outside. Just silence, pressing in on all sides. Like the house had sunk a few feet deeper into the earth and buried itself. The light bulb above me buzzed once and went out. And then, from behind the door, I heard it. Breathing. Long, slow inhales, wheezing exhales, like someone standing right on the other side of the door. With their face against it, I backed away down the hall, step by step, watching that door like it might start crawling toward me. Then my phone rang. No name, no number, just unknown caller. I answered it without thinking, and I heard my own voice. Don't open it. I hung up and dropped the phone. It rang again, and again, and again. Each time I picked up, it was a different sound. A woman crying, footsteps echoing. My own voice whispering, "Let me out." I went into the kitchen and grabbed the heaviest thing I could find, a cast iron skillet. My hands were slick with sweat. I was shaking so bad I nearly dropped it. I was done being scared. I went back to the hallway and I kicked the door. Hard. It didn't budge. But something responded. The breathing turned into pounding. From the other side. Bang, bang. No screaming. No words, just fists, over and over. I swung the skillet at the door. Wood cracked. I hit it again. And again, the wood split. Behind it, I saw drywall. Not a room. Not a handle. Just a fake door nailed to a boarded wall. But from inside that wall, I heard someone say, right next to my ear, "I was here first." I dropped the skillet. I was done. I locked myself in the bedroom and pushed the dresser in front of the door. I didn't sleep. I sat in the corner, knees pulled up, phone clutched to my chest, praying for sunrise. And just before dawn, I heard the front door unlock. Click. Like nothing had ever been wrong. When I finally had the nerve to check, the hallway was empty. The door with no handle, gone, vanished. Just a blank wall like it had never existed. I grabbed my bag and ran. Didn't even look back. That was 3 months ago. I filed a report with Airbnb. The listing was removed within 24 hours. The host deleted their account. No explanation. I tried to find the property again. Drove back to the road I'd taken. There's nothing there. No turnoff. No cabin. Just trees. Like the house swallowed itself the second I escaped. But here's the thing. I can't shake. Last week, I came home from work and found a package on my doorstep. No return address. Inside was a single photo. Another Polaroid. This one showed my apartment hallway, taken from inside my place. From the angle of the front door, looking out, and there was a figure in it, standing with its head tilted just slightly, like it didn't understand what it was seeing, and behind it, behind the figure, was a door with no handle. I knew something was wrong the moment I stepped out of the shower and realized the mirror wasn't fogged up, not a drop. Bone dry, like the bathroom hadn't had steam in hours, which didn't make sense, because I just finished a 10-minute burning hot shower. The kind that usually fogs your glasses and makes your skin go pink. But the mirror? It was crystal clear. And for some reason, that scared the hell out of me. I'd booked the Airbnb on impulse. I needed to get out of Boston for a while. Clear my head, do some writing, forget about my ex blowing up my phone at 3 a.m. The cabin was in upstate New York, on the edge of the Catskills, quiet, private, just a single guest house off a long gravel road, surrounded by trees and nothing else. The host, someone named Elijah, had 5 stars and over 100 reviews, all glowing. Great spot, very private. Host was chill, barely saw him. Felt like I had the whole place to myself. I figured it would be the same for me. Solo weekend, no distractions. Just my laptop and some wine. But from the start, the place didn't feel empty. It was small but cozy. 1 bedroom, a kitchenette, tiny bathroom. Nothing fancy but clean. A little too clean. Like someone had just left minutes before I arrived. There was a faint smell of cologne in the air. Something expensive. Like the kind my ex used to wear. I unpacked, cracked open a cider, and sat outside on the little porch. That's when I noticed the second floor. It wasn't listed in the photos. But looking up from the porch, I could see a row of small windows above mine, half covered with thick curtains. I checked the listing again. Private guest house. You'll have the entire place to yourself. No mention of a second floor. I thought maybe it was just for storage. Or maybe Elijah used it when he needed to be on the property. No big deal. But that night, I heard footsteps above me. It was around midnight. I was reading in bed when I heard the soft creak of floorboards overhead. Slow pacing. A shuffle. Then nothing. At first, I thought it might be an animal. But the steps were too human. Heavy heel to toe. A rhythm. I messaged the host that hey, just wanted to double check. Anyone else on the property tonight? No reply. At 2 a.m., I heard water running like a sink. Or a shower, which would have made sense, except the only bathroom was the one I had used, and I was the only one booked at the cabin that weekend. Right? The next morning, I noticed the front door was unlocked. I always lock doors. It's a habit. I double-checked the night before. But when I woke up, it was cracked open an inch, like someone had left in a hurry. And then, the creepiest part. There was a wet towel hanging on the hook in the bathroom. Not mine. Mine was still folded on the bed, untouched. I hadn't even showered yet that morning. But the towel on the hook? Soaked, warm to the touch, like someone had just used it. I told myself there had to be a logical explanation. Maybe the cleaner came late. Maybe they used the bathroom and forgot something. Maybe Elijah stopped by and none of that made sense. I'd already spent a full night there, and the towel hadn't been there the day before. I went outside, trying to shake the paranoia, and walked the perimeter of the cabin. No signs of anyone. No other vehicles. Just trees. But when I looked up, One of the second floor windows was cracked open, and the curtain moved, not blowing, pulled, like someone had been peeking out and quickly stepped back. That night I didn't sleep. I sat up in bed with the lights on, heart racing, holding my phone like a weapon. At 3:17 a.m., I heard footsteps again, but this time, they were on the stairs. There weren't supposed to be any stairs inside the unit. I veined in and I grabbed the flashlight from my backpack and crept out of the bedroom. The hallway was empty. But near the end, past the kitchenette, right behind a narrow pantry door, I saw something I hadn't noticed before. A narrow seam in the wall. I moved closer and realized it wasn't a wall. It was a hidden door. No handle. Just a flush panel. And a tiny keyhole near the top. I pressed my ear to it and heard breathing. I ran back into the bedroom, locked the door, and shoved the dresser in front of it. No sleep that night. Every few hours, I'd hear creaks in the floorboards. Sometimes a thump, like someone bumping into a table or a door frame. And twice, I swear I heard someone whisper, "Are you awake?" The next morning, I packed. Screw the refund. I didn't care. I just wanted out. I had just zipped my bag when I got a message from Elijah. Sorry, just seeing this. I'm not on the property this weekend. No one else should be there. Can I ask, what did you hear? I stared at the screen, hands shaking. Then the second message came in. Wait, which unit are you in? Elijah's second message froze me. Wait, which unit are you in? I typed back immediately. The guest house. The one behind the main cabin. The one on the listing. Three dots appeared. Disappeared. Came back. Then, I only have one unit. There is no second building on my property. I stared at the message, waiting for it to make sense. It didn't. I sent a photo of the place I was standing in, the porch, the window, the gravel path. A minute passed. Then Elijah replied, "Get out of that house. Right now." I didn't need more convincing. I grabbed my bag, slung it over my shoulder, and headed for the door. I didn't hear anything at first. Then, a slow, heavy step above me, right over my head. Another dot, not cautious. Not sneaking, someone moving openly now. Directly toward the stairs hidden behind that nowhere door. I gripped the doorknob. Twisted. It didn't move. The lock that had magically unlocked the night before was jammed again, sealed. Like someone had turned a key on the other side. My pulse roared in my ears. I ran to the window, tried to shove it open, nailed shut. All of them, again. Whoever was upstairs had sealed me inside, and they were coming down. I sprinted to the hidden door behind the pantry, the seam in the wall, and pressed my ear to it again. Breathing. Not slow and controlled like before. Fast, wet, heavy, a man's breath. I backed away, knocking over a chair. It crashed loudly. The breathing stopped. Then, from the upstairs landing, a voice echoed down the hidden stairwell. Rough, male, too close. You weren't supposed to stay this long. My stomach dropped. Someone had been living here, not a ghost. Not a spirit. A man, a real flesh and blood man, and he sounded angry. My phone buzzed again. Elijah, I'm calling the police. Stay somewhere visible. Are you safe? I typed with trembling fingers. I'm locked inside. He's still here. As I hit send, a low creak came from above the pantry. Then another, something shifting. Getting ready. I looked around the kitchen, desperate for anything to defend myself with. I grabbed the only thing heavy enough, the cast iron skillet from the stove, and backed into the corner opposite the pantry. The hidden door clicked, not fully open. Just enough for a shadow to spill across the tile. A voice seeped out, soft and conversational, like we were old friends. You keep touching my things. I almost vomited from fear. Footsteps descended the narrow staircase, slow and deliberate, the way someone moves when they enjoy being watched. I raised the skillet, the final step creaked, and then nothing. No one stepped out. The pantry door was still closed. but I could feel him. Standing just inches away, listening, smiling. The silence stretched until I thought I would scream. Then something slid through the bottom of the pantry door. A photo. Another Polaroid. This one was taken from inside the secret stairwell, aimed directly through the horizontal gap of the pantry door. In the photo, I was standing exactly where I was right then. Except in the picture, someone was behind me. A man's face, hollow eyes, unkempt beard, skin stretched too thin, staring at my back. I whipped around so fast, I almost fell. No one. The room was empty. But I wasn't alone. Not even close. The doorknob suddenly rattled. Not from the inside. From outside, someone was trying to get in. Elijah? I shouted. A muffled voice answered. It's me. Step away from the door. I didn't move at first. What if it wasn't really him? But then he called again, louder, urgent. I'm the owner. The cops are on their way. Step back. I backed up just as he slammed his shoulder into the door. Wood cracked. Hinges groaned. On the third hit, it burst open. Elijah stumbled in, panting, wild-eyed, holding a flashlight and a small axe. Before I could even speak, he grabbed my arm. We're leaving, he said. Now. What about the man upstairs? I gasped. Elijah stared at me, horror draining his color. There's no upstairs in this building. My throat closed. I pointed at the pantry. He swung the door open. Nothing. Just food shelves, cleaning supplies, a broom. No staircase, no seam in the wall, no door, no lock, no space wide enough for anyone to hide. I swore. I swore there had been a door. I swore I'd seen the crack. I swore I'd heard him breathing. Elijah's face softened with something like dread. Not disbelief, recognition. He whispered. He's still here. We ran out of the house, sprinting down the gravel road toward Elijah's truck. My legs felt like rubber. I kept looking over my shoulder. Nothing chased us. Nothing visible, but I heard it, a soft creak behind the walls, like someone pacing just out of sight. The cops met us halfway down the road. They searched the house top to bottom, found no stairs, no doors, no rooms. Nothing unusual. Except one window upstairs. A single window on a second floor that didn't exist in the blueprints. Behind it, just a wall. Drywall. But the sheriff knocked on it, and from the other side, 3 knocks answered back. The baby monitor clicked on for the first time at 2:47 a.m. I was alone in the kitchen, sitting at the counter with my laptop, when I heard it. A soft crackle, followed by that low static hiss you only hear from old-school monitors. At first, I didn't even look up. I'd assumed it was my phone glitching or maybe some electrical buzz from the weird wiring in the Airbnb. But then came the voice, small, raspy, barely above a whisper. Ma. Ma. I froze. Not because of the voice itself. Kids say weird stuff, but because there wasn't supposed to be a baby in the house. This Airbnb was advertised as an adults-only writer's retreat. No toys, no crib, no second bedroom, just me. A rental in the Berkshires. And a baby monitor on the kitchen counter that had never been there before. I didn't even notice it when I checked in. The place was minimal, almost cold. White walls, gray concrete floors, matte black kitchen, 1 bedroom. No TV, just a record player and a bookshelf stacked with old novels. There was definitely not a baby monitor when I dropped my bags on the counter earlier that day. I would have remembered something then out of place, but there it was now, chunky, beige plastic. One of those cheap Fisher-Price models from the early 2000s. Little green light flickering on the front. Still hissing. Still alive. I picked it up and immediately felt warmth. Not just warm like it had been sitting in the sun. Warm like it had been used. Like someone had been holding it minutes before I found it. I flipped it over. No serial number, no label. Just a few small scratches and one faint sticker peeling off the bottom. Looked like it used to say Unit 2. I checked the guest manual for any info, nothing. No baby gear. No instructions, no clue why this thing would even be here. I unplugged it and tossed it in the drawer. 10 minutes later, it clicked back on, still unplugged. Same soft static. Same voice. He's awake. That's when I started to feel watched. I turned off all the lights and crept through the house room by room, checking the windows. Locked. Front door locked. No cars outside. Just me in the trees and that goddamn voice whispering through the baby monitor drawer. Don't go upstairs. There was no upstairs. That's what stopped me cold. The listing had been very clear. 1 floor, 1 bedroom, 1 bath. And yet, something about the layout didn't add up. The hallway curved slightly near the bathroom, a weird angle that didn't match the rest of the structure. I hadn't noticed it before. And the ceiling above that hallway? Just a little higher than the rest, like there was space above it. Like maybe there was an upstairs. One I couldn't see. I didn't sleep that night. I lay on the couch, lights on, monitor shoved under a pile of dish towels in the drawer. At 3:12 a.m., I heard footsteps. Soft, bare, not walking, padding. Tiny. Like a child moving carefully across the concrete floor. I sat up, heart pounding. The footsteps moved from the hallway into the kitchen, then stopped. Then the monitor, buried under towels, clicked again. You're not the mom. The next morning, I called the host. No answer. Straight to voicemail. I sent a message. Hey, weird question. Is there a baby monitor in the house? No reply. I left it at that. But later that afternoon, when I got back from a coffee run, the monitor was back on the counter. Plugged in, turned on. Green light blinking. This time, there was no voice. Just silence. Like it was waiting. That night I left all the lights on and took melatonin just to try and knock myself out. It didn't work. At 3 a.m. I woke to a high-pitched giggle coming from the kitchen. I stumbled out of bed, heart racing, grabbed a flashlight, and followed the sound. There was no one there, but the monitor was glowing bright green. And the screen, which had been dark before, now showed a grainy black and white video feed. A crib, wooden, old, peeling white paint, a single stuffed bear sitting inside. And behind the crib, in the shadows, a small pale shape curled in the corner, not moving. Just watching the camera. I don't know how long I stood there, staring at the video feed. The image on the baby monitor screen didn't make sense. This house had no nursery, no crib, no camera. And yet, there it was, a live feed of a room that didn't exist. A crib, a bear, and something small in the corner, sitting perfectly still in the shadows. I moved around the house, holding the monitor in front of me, trying to match the angle of the shot. No luck. That room wasn't anywhere in the house. It was somewhere though. And whatever was watching me from the feed, it knew I was looking back. I unplugged the monitor. Didn't matter. The screen stayed on. I yanked the batteries. Still glowing. The figure in the feed suddenly shifted, inching closer to the bars of the crib. I dropped the thing, grabbed my coat and keys, and bolted out of the house into the dark driveway. I didn't care if it was 3:30 a.m. I was going to sleep in my car if I had to, but my car wasn't where I left it. It was gone. I stood in the gravel driveway in bare feet, heart pounding, staring at the empty space where my rental had been parked. No tracks, no sign of anything leaving. Just gone. I ran back inside and locked the door behind me. Something told me I was safer in than out there. With whatever this was, the monitor was back on the counter, not where I dropped it, facing me. The feed had changed. No more crib. No more child. Now it showed a shot of the kitchen, the exact kitchen I was standing in. Same counter, same lights, except in the monitor's feed, I wasn't there. The kitchen was empty, but I could hear footsteps behind me. I spun around. Nothing. The hallway was still. Dead quiet, except the air felt thicker, like someone had just walked through it and brushed past me. I grabbed the monitor again and yelled, "What do you want?" Static answered me. Then, slowly, the green light began to blink again. And a voice, childlike, slow, not quite right, whispered, "She said you'd come back." I slammed the monitor to the ground. It cracked, sparked, went dark. Then silence. I backed away, breathing hard, and bumped into something solid behind me. Not a wall, a person. I turned, swinging with every ounce of adrenaline I had left, but I hit nothing. No one was there. Only the front door, now wide open. I hadn't touched it. Outside, the trees were completely still, no wind, no crickets, no life. The porch light flickered, then died. That's when I heard the crying. Not from the monitor this time. From inside the house. Soft, breathy sobs from the hallway. From the bathroom. I moved slowly, one step at a time. The crying got louder with each step. I reached the bathroom and saw that the shower was running. Steam curling from under the door, just like the first night. But I hadn't turned it on. And there, on the floor outside the door, a second baby monitor, identical, plugged into the outlet by the sink. Its red light glowing. I picked it up with shaking hands. The sobbing stopped. The shower shut off. And then I heard it, loud, clear, right next to my ear. "You left me here." I dropped the monitor and ran. Didn't stop to grab my things. Didn't turn off the lights. Just ran barefoot out into the night. Heart in my throat, lungs burning. I sprinted down the gravel road until I reached the main road, lit only by the moon. About 10 minutes later, a car approached. Headlights, a woman in her 40s behind the wheel. She pulled over and rolled down the window. "You staying at the old Barrow place?" she asked. I nodded, shaking. Her face tightened. "Thought they tore that down after the fire." I blinked. "What fire?" She looked at me like I was slow. "Whole place burned 8 years ago. Family of 3. Mom died upstairs. Baby was never found." I told her I booked it on Airbnb, that it looked brand new. Fully furnished. She didn't say anything for a long time. Then she muttered, "Some houses don't stay gone." I made her drive me straight to the police. They confirmed that Barrow House had burned down in 2016. The lot had been vacant ever since. No building, no guest house, no listing in town records. But when they took me back to where I said the driveway had been, nothing. Just dirt. Grass. No gravel, no tire tracks, no house. Like it had never been there at all. I spent weeks trying to rationalize it. Airbnb had no record of the property, no trace of my host. My rental car company said I never picked up a vehicle. There were no charges on my card, but I still had my keys, still had a Polaroid I'd taken that first night, a blurry shot of the kitchen, and the baby monitor glowing on the counter. Proof that something had been real, or had made itself real. I started therapy, tried to move on. Until last week. I came home from work, dropped my keys on the counter, turned on the lights, and froze. There, on my own kitchen counter, sat a baby monitor. The same one, same scratches. Same Unit 2 sticker, already plugged in. Already on. And before I could move, it crackled to life and whispered, "Mama's home." The host messaged me at 7:42 the morning after I arrived. "Hey, just checking in, looks like you never arrived. Wanted to make sure you're okay." I stared at the message, blinking. I had slept in the Airbnb. I had used the keypad. I had showered. I had unpacked. I replied, "I'm here. I checked in yesterday at 5:30. Place is great. Is there a problem?" A few seconds passed. Then, "That's not possible. The system still shows the front doors never been unlocked. No one's entered the property." I didn't know how to respond, because I was definitely inside the house. It was a single-story home on the edge of a small town in Northern California. Foggy, quiet, redwoods all around. The photos made it look rustic and peaceful. The kind of place where you'd light a fire, make coffee, and forget your phone existed. I was in town for a wedding, but I came early to get a few days to myself. Check-in was fully contactless. I got a code through the app, walked up the stone path, typed it in. The lock clicked open. Everything had worked exactly as expected, except, apparently, according to the host, I was never there. After the weird message, I got paranoid. I walked back to the front door and tried to enter the code again. Invalid. I tried again. More carefully, invalid code. I pulled up the app. My reservation was still active. The address was correct. My name was on the booking, but the keypad acted like I didn't exist, like I was never supposed to be here. That afternoon, I went to the kitchen and saw something that made my stomach turn. There was a mug in the drying rack by the sink, not mine. I had only used one mug since arriving. It was still sitting next to my laptop, half full of lukewarm coffee. This one was bone dry, clean, already put away. Opened the dishwasher. Empty. The host had said this listing hadn't been booked all week. I was the first guest in 10 days. So who used that mug? I tried to brush it off. Maybe the cleaner left it there. But later that night, things got worse. I went to take a shower and found a towel already damp, hanging on the rack. Mine was still folded under the sink where I'd left it. This one? Used, still warm. I felt the chill crawl up my spine. That's when I heard the creak from the hallway. I shut the water off and stood there, listening. The creak came again, slow, like a weight shifting on old wood, right outside the bathroom door. I waited. The silence stretched. I opened the door slowly, holding my breath. The hallway was empty, but the bedroom door, the one I'd left wide open, was now half closed. And I swear I could smell something faint in the air. Not mildew, not cleaning supplies. Cologne. Sharp, cheap, familiar. Someone had been in there. Maybe was still in there. I grabbed my phone and messaged the host again. Okay. Weird question. Is it possible someone else is staying on the property? She replied almost instantly. No, you're the only guest. The unit is standalone. Are you okay? I didn't answer. I went into the bedroom, held my breath, and pulled open the closet. Empty. Checked under the bed. Nothing. But when I turned around, I noticed something that hadn't been there before. On the nightstand, a key. Not a car key, not a room key. Just a small brass key on a plain string. Picked it up. It was ice cold. Taped to the back of it was a note, handwritten. 4 words. Don't trust the system. The note kept replaying in my mind. Don't trust the system. Whose handwriting was that? Why hide it? Why leave it where only I would find it? I sat on the edge of the bed, holding that tiny brass key, turning it over in my hand. It was old, scratched, maybe from a small drawer or cabinet. Definitely not for a door. I texted the host again. Found a key in the bedroom. Is it yours? She didn't reply. Not immediately. The house responded first. A soft thump from the living room. Then another. Footsteps. Not heavy, not rushed. Measured. Like someone was walking slowly from the front door into the kitchen. My heart hammered. I crept forward, listening. One step, another, then silence. I peeked down the hall. Nobody there. But the mug, the one I'd left on the counter next to my laptop, was gone. Just gone. I backed into the bedroom and shut the door quietly. 2 seconds later, my phone buzzed. The host had finally answered. I'm driving. Can you call me? It's important. I hit call instantly. She picked up mid-ring. Her voice was tense. Where exactly are you right now? In the house. A pause. You need to leave. I can't. The keypad doesn't work. I know, she said. It hasn't worked for anyone in months. My blood ran cold. What do you mean, anyone? I didn't think it would happen again. I really didn't. She swallowed hard, voice cracking. Listen to me carefully. There was a guest last winter, January. He checked in. But the system never logged him, okay? And then, she continued, 3 days later, someone else showed up. Someone who also had a reservation. And the system said they were the first guest. The only guest. The silence between us stretched. What happened to the first guest? I whispered. She inhaled shakily. That's the problem. We never found him. The room felt suddenly smaller. Like the air had thickened. I gripped the phone. Are you saying someone else is here? Right now? I don't know, she said. But the house is old. It has crawl spaces. Gaps behind the walls. The inspector said someone could live inside for weeks without being seen. My brain reeled. The used mug. The damp towel. The bedroom door moving. The footsteps. Someone had been living here. Someone the system didn't register. Someone who never checked out. I asked, why didn't you shut the place down? I did. She cried. I pulled it from the app, changed the listing, changed the locks. But somehow people kept booking it. Like me. Yes, like you. The floorboard in the hallway creaked. Louder this time. Closer. I whispered into the phone. He's here. The host's voice sharpened. Okay, listen. Go to the kitchen. On the left side of the pantry floor, near the back, there's a loose tile. Under it is a secondary lockbox. That key you found opens it. And then what? There's a manual override fob for the door. It's your only way out. Another creak. Much closer. I ended the call and crept toward the hallway, heart pounding so hard my ears rang. The hallway was empty, almost too empty. Like whoever had been walking had slipped behind a corner the moment I looked. I scanned the ceiling. The vents, the shadows. Nothing. But the smell hit me again. Cologne. Cheap and stale. Someone had been standing right where I was seconds earlier. I moved into the kitchen and dropped to my knees at the pantry. I felt along the floor until my fingers brushed a loose tile. I pried it up, hands shaking, and sure enough, a small metal box was underneath. The brass key slid in perfectly. Lock clicked open. Inside was a small plastic fob with a single red button. The manual override. I grabbed it, and the pantry door slammed shut behind me. Pitch black. I spun around and slammed my fist against the door. Hey! No response. Just breath. Not mine. Hot. Damp. Right behind me. I raised the fob like a weapon, and the darkness spoke. You checked in yesterday, right? My scream caught in my throat, because I knew that voice. I'd heard it before. On the phone. In the hallway. Right behind the walls. He whispered. But the system never logged you. I lunged forward, slamming my shoulder into the pantry door. It burst open and I tumbled into the kitchen. I didn't stop. I sprinted for the front door, fob in hand, slamming my thumb onto the red button. The lock clicked. Finally, footsteps thundered behind me, fast, desperate, heavy. I yanked the door open and dove outside, hitting the ground hard. Gravel tore my palms, but I didn't stop. I got up, ran barefoot down the path, and didn't look back. Until I was halfway down the road, the house was dark. Still. Except for one window, the bedroom window, where a shadow stood perfectly still behind the glass, watching me. The police searched the house that night. They found signs of someone living in the crawl space, blankets, wrappers, footprints in the dust. They found a hole cut behind the kitchen cabinets leading into the wall cavity. They found fingerprints on the inside of the bedroom closet door. But they didn't find him, not a trace. He'd been living there for months, maybe years. Living between the walls, slip in when guests arrived, slip out when they left, hide until dark, eat their food, move their things. Watch them sleep. And when the booking never logged the guest. They never looked for the body. The host shut down the listing permanently, moved out of town. I can't blame her. 3 weeks later, I moved to new apartment, new locks, cameras installed everywhere. I thought I was safe, but last night, my phone buzzed, a push notification from a home security app. I don't remember installing, new device registered, front door keypad. And the message below it, check-in never logged. Guest currently inside. The first time I saw the mirror, I thought it was just antique. Old, tall, full length, the kind with carved wood trim and a little tilt like it had stood in the same place forever. It faced the hallway in my Airbnb, just outside the bedroom. No glass on the walls nearby, just this one relic, tucked between two modern floor lamps and a rug from IKEA. I caught my reflection as I passed it the first night, pale, tired, hoodie bunched at the neck. Nothing weird, but as I moved past it, I noticed something. In the mirror, the hallway behind me kept going, farther than it actually did, like the reflection didn't end where the wall was supposed to be, like the mirror showed a longer house. I stopped and stepped back, looked over my shoulder. Just drywall. But in the mirror, 3 doorways instead of 2, one open, one shut, and one I hadn't seen before, at the far end of the mirrored hall. But in real life, that space didn't exist. I walked toward the mirror slowly, studying the image. Everything matched, the rug, the lighting, the shape of the floor. Except that door, and something else. In the corner of the reflection, near the baseboard. A shadow, small, curled. Like someone was sitting against the wall. But when I turned around in real life, nothing. Just empty hall. Hardwood floor, silence. I thought maybe the mirror was warped. Or maybe I was just overtired. I had barely slept the night before, and the drive up to the cabin had been brutal. 4 hours, no breaks, rain the whole way. I left it alone that night. Didn't look at the mirror again, but something must have changed while I slept. Because when I got up the next morning, the mirror had moved. Not far, just angled slightly, turned inward toward the bedroom. Like someone had bumped it in the night, except I live alone, and I'd shut and locked the front door. The second night, I stayed up late working on my laptop. I went to the bathroom around 2 a.m., passing the mirror in the hall. I didn't mean to look. I didn't want to, but I caught it again, the reflection. The hallway was longer now, all 3 doors were open, and the shadow? Gone, but the reflection had changed again. The mirror now showed something leaning out of one of the doorways. Just a hand. Pale, thin, resting against the frame, like someone was about to step through but stopped when I looked. I stared at it. It didn't move. I backed away down the hall and turned, expecting to see nothing, just like before. But this time, there was a faint smudge on the actual wall where the hand should have been. 5 streaks, finger marks. Didn't sleep that night. I sat up on the couch with every light on, heart pounding, door bolted, TV on mute. Every time I glanced toward the hallway, I saw the mirror still angled toward me. Always tilted, just enough to catch my reflection, like it was trying to pull me back into view. The next day, I tried to move it. I told myself I was being ridiculous, but I grabbed the sides of the frame and tried to tilt it back. It didn't budge, not even an inch, like it was glued to the floor. Worse, when I touched the wood, it was warm. Not just room temperature, body warm, like someone had been holding it, like the mirror itself was alive. I let go, stepped back, and something in the glass caught my eye. There was writing now, not sharp, not clear, faint streaks in the condensation that hadn't been there seconds before. 3 words, don't look back. I didn't sleep after that message. I couldn't. Every time I closed my eyes, I imagined waking up and seeing my reflection staring back at me, still. While I turned to look, the mirror didn't fog, but the words remained. "Don't look back," smeared in dull streaks, like they'd been drawn with a wet finger through condensation that shouldn't have existed. This wasn't just an old mirror anymore. It was watching me. I tried to cover it. Found an old blanket in the hall closet and threw it over the glass without looking. The second the fabric touched the surface, a loud crack rang through the hallway like glass under stress. Yanked my hand back. The blanket slid off on its own. No breeze, no slope. It just slid, like someone inside the glass had peeled it down. I didn't try again. That night, I turned all the lights on and tried to convince myself it was just old wiring. Fatigue, paranoia. Then the light started flickering. Just outside the bedroom. In the hall, where the mirror stood. The rest of the house stayed lit. Kitchen, living room, bathroom, all normal. Only the hallway dimmed, like it was holding its breath. And then, I saw movement. Not in the house. In the mirror, a shape slid across the hallway behind me, a figure. Just past the third door. Barely a flicker, but when I turned around, nothing. Still, when I turned back to the mirror, the figure was closer. I recorded it on my phone. 30 seconds of me staring at the glass, breathing hard, heart pounding in my chest like it was trying to warn me. In the video, my reflection is standing still, but I blinked. I know I did. And in the recording, my reflection didn single quotes t. It just kept staring. Unblin king. Still. It was trying to decide whether to come through. I tried to leave the next morning. I packed up, opened the door, and stopped. There were footprints outside, not mine. Bare feet. Light prints. Leading into the house. None leading out. And written in the dirt. Carved into the doormat with what looked like a stick or a nail. "You looked back." I locked the door again and sat on the couch, staring down the hallway like it was a tunnel I'd never noticed before. I didn't want to look again. I didn't. But mirrors are like gravity. You look, and I did. One last time. This time, my reflection didn't move with me at all. When I stepped forward, it stayed frozen. When I raised my hand, it just stared, eyes locked, unblinking, mouth twitching in a way I hadn't moved, and slowly, my reflection smiled, not a grin. Not human. Teeth too many. Smile too wide. And then it took one step toward the glass, and I heard it, not in my ears, but inside my head. It's not a mirror. I backed away, tripping over the hallway rug. The lights all went out at once. The hallway flooded with cold, not a draft, but deep cold, like walking into a freezer filled with breath. I crawled into the bedroom and slammed the door. From the other side of the wall, I heard it, dragging feet, long nails tapping the floorboards. Then a sound like someone pressing their face against glass. And whispering, "Switch with me." I barricaded the door. I don't know how long I sat there, curled in the corner, holding my phone, waiting for the sun to come up. At some point, I must have passed out, because when I opened my eyes again, it was morning. Lights spilled across the bedroom. Silence. Safe. That I grabbed my keys, my bag, and left without looking back. I didn't even grab my charger, didn't check the hallway, didn't glance at the mirror, not once. I checked into a motel, 2 towns over, tried to forget. But that night, just before bed, I caught my reflection in the bathroom mirror. Nothing weird. Just me. Until I turned away, and in the corner of the mirror, in the exact angle I should have been gone, I saw my reflection, still staring, still smiling. Now I cover every mirror in every room. Towels, sheets, paint, if I have to. But sometimes I still catch them moving underneath the fabric. A twitch, a ripple. Like someone pressing from the other side, trying to get back through. And every once in a while, when I walk past something shiny, a glass door, a car window, a spoon, I see a version of me that's just a split second too slow. There was a binder on the kitchen counter when I arrived. Old, stained, duct taped at the spine. The cover was plain except for a yellowing label on the front. House rules read first, all caps. Black marker, pressed hard enough to leave indents through the page. No friendly greeting. No handwritten note. Just this grim little book waiting for me in the middle of the countertop like it had been expecting me. I opened it with the same casual curiosity you open any Airbnb welcome book. The first page hit different. Welcome to the property. Your stay is private. Your safety depends on following these rules. Do not ignore them. Do not use any mirror after sundown. Do not answer the door for anyone after midnight. Do not look out the back window. Never leave the front door unlocked. Not even for a minute. That was it. Nothing about Wi-Fi. No restaurant recommendations. No map. No checkout instructions. Just a list that read more like ritual, protocol than house rules. And a single sentence scribbled underneath in what looked like a different hand. Some things get in when you look too long. At first, I assumed it was a gimmick. Some kind of creepy immersive Airbnb experience. Maybe the host was trying to lean into some local lore. The cabin was old, tucked back off a gravel road in the woods about 20 minutes outside of Asheville, North Carolina. One of those listings that advertised digital detox and raw mountain stillness. I was there for a writing weekend. Just me, my laptop, and a fridge full of overpriced Whole Foods snacks. After a brutal work season and a breakup, I still wasn't fully processing. I needed silence. Time alone. So I laughed at the rules. Took a picture of them. Sent it to a friend with the text, "Am I about to get haunted or join a cult?" She replied, "Don't break rule 3. That one sounds cursed at AF. I broke rule 3 about 8 hours later. Not to be rebellious. I just wasn't thinking. It was past 11. And I was grabbing a glass of water when I walked past the long window at the back of the house. The one facing the woods. No curtains. Just a thin blind that barely covered the glass. I had ignored it all evening. But as I passed by, I saw movement. A flicker of white. Like someone slipping between trees. I paused. Skew-int. Then leaned closer. That's when I saw him. He was standing about 30 feet from the back deck. Not toward the house. Turned slightly away. Body crooked like he was listening to something deep in the woods. He was pale. Completely naked. His arms were too long. Knees too thin. And he was smiling. But not like he was happy. Like his face had been stretched into the shape of a smile and then left there too long. I couldn't stop staring. I didn't want to. I just felt like I had to. Then his head turned, not naturally, like it snapped toward me. And our eyes met. I stumbled back from the glass. My heart thudding in my ears. I fumbled for the light switch, turned off the kitchen lights. Backed into the living room, keeping my eyes away from the window. I waited. Listening. No footsteps. No knocking. No sound at all. Eventually, I worked up the courage to peek back. He was gone. Nothing but darkness and swaying trees. But I noticed something I hadn't before. There was a handprint on the outside of the glass, pressed low. Like someone had crouched there earlier. Long fingers. Damp streaks trailing down. I slept on the couch with the lights on. Binder open on the coffee table. I reread the rules. They weren't a joke. They were instructions. I had already broken one. The next morning, I checked my phone. No messages, no new notifications. I looked outside. Nothing. No footprints in the dirt. No sign anyone had been there at all. I told myself it was just some mountain local messing around. A drifter. Maybe a hunter who'd had too much to drink. I considered leaving, but I didn't, because a very stupid part of me wanted to see what would happen next. That night, I followed every rule. I avoided the mirrors. I locked the door, double-checked it. I didn't look outside once. Still, just after midnight, There was a knock. Three soft, gentle taps. I froze. Didn't move. Didn't speak. Then came a voice. Muffled, but cheerful. Hey there. Food delivery for Alex? My name is Alex, but I hadn't ordered anything. I hadn't left the house all day. I stayed quiet. A second knock. More insistent. I've got your order right here. You just have to open the door. Silence stretched. Then, I saw you look last night. I backed into the hallway and locked myself in the bathroom. No windows. No mirrors. I sat on the floor and waited for the sun to rise. The next morning, there was no sign anyone had been there, except on the porch. A single takeout bag, damp with dew, inside. Nothing but a blank receipt with one line written in black ink. 2 rules broken. 2 to go. I didn't know what would happen if I broke all 4. I didn't want to find out, but it felt like I already didn't have a choice, because when I checked the lock on the front door, it was unlocked. I didn't want to leave the bathroom. I didn't want to move. I didn't even want to breathe. The first knock had rattled the door. The second voice, calm, patient, had seeped into my brain like poison. Now I was trapped in my own Airbnb, and the front door? Unlocked. But something told me that leaving it open was worse than staying inside. Hours passed. I kept the lights on. My phone showed 1 missed call, no name, no number, and every time I tried to text, the app froze. Then I noticed something new, shadows moving in the hall. Not from my hands or furniture. They shifted independently. A long, thin silhouette slid past the living room doorway, pale, featureless, watching, waiting. I wanted to scream. I wanted to throw something. But all I could do was cling to the binder on the counter, the rules. I read them over and over. Do not use any mirror after sundown. Do not answer the door for anyone. After midnight. Do not look out the back window. Never leave the front door unlocked. I realized, painfully, that the rules weren't for me. They weren't instructions for a human guest. They were instructions for the thing outside, or inside, that watched me, waiting for a reason to act. The third knock came at 2:47 a.m. This time, it wasn't light. It wasn't polite. It shook the doorframe. Heavy, deliberate, controlled. I didn't answer. The voice came again. Not muffled this time, direct, calm, menacing. You've opened your eyes too wide. You've looked. You've lingered. You've chosen to stay. I gripped the binder like it could shield me. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. Then I heard it move across the floorboards. From the hallway, toward the bedroom. I backed into the corner, pulling my knees up, praying it would stop. And then I saw it. Not fully. Not clearly, but reflected faintly on the inside of the living room window. A man. Pale, stretched limbs, elongated fingers pressed against the glass. No face, just blankness. And yet I could feel eyes boring into me. The mirror on the wall didn't reflect it. The light didn't catch it. But the window did. It was standing just outside the line of sight, inside the rules I had broken. I realized the back window, Rule 3, wasn't about privacy. It wasn't about safety from outside threats. It was about keeping it out, and I had looked. I jumped up, bolted to the back window, and yanked the blinds. The figure wasn't there. Just the trees. Just the fog rolling over the yard. I laughed nervously. My legs shaking. My chest burning. And then I noticed. The sliding glass door wasn't locked. I hadn't unlocked it. I stepped back, heart racing. Rule 4, the front door, had been ignored too, technically. It had unlocked itself the night before. I had assumed it was a glitch. It wasn't a glitch. It was baked. I realized it only ever wanted me to choose to leave. Or think I could leave. The knocking escalated. Faster, louder. From both doors now, front and back. Had a choice. Break Rule 4 by fleeing. Or stay and break no more rules. I stayed. Hours passed like that. I heard scraping along the floors, the walls, the ceiling. A whispering voice, sometimes familiar, sometimes foreign. You'll see soon. You'll see everything. I clutched the binder, repeated the rules under my breath, tried to convince myself following them would work. Then, I noticed something impossible. A shadow in the kitchen corner. It wasn't moving with the light. It was behind it, even when I turned the lamp on, and it wasn't just a shadow. It moved against me, like it had its own consciousness. The binder fell from my hands. I looked at it and realized something. The rules weren't there to protect me. They were instructions for what happened when someone ignored them. I had broken 3 already, and the 4th, leaving the front door unlocked, wasn't optional. It had to remain locked, or else it could enter. I ran to the lock, bolted it, triple-checked, my hands shaking, nails digging into the metal. Then the bedroom mirror rattled. The lamp flickered, and I saw it, standing inside the reflection. Not outside. Not behind me. Inside the glass. On the far side of the room. It grinned. Thin, wide, impossible. You didn't leave the front door open. It said, voice like velvet scraping over steel. Good, but you still saw me. I screamed. Not loud enough to hear in the street. Not loud enough to call anyone. Just a ragged, helpless sound. The figure stepped toward me through the mirror. Its arm reached out. Too long. Its fingers brushed the surface of reality as if the glass wasn't there. I ran from the bedroom, down the hallway. The mirrors along the walls rattled as I passed. Reflections warped. My face stretched, my arms lengthened unnaturally. I tripped. Fell. Landed hard on the hardwood. The binder slipped from my hands. Pages fluttered open. I didn't notice until later that the last page now had new writing in the same black ink. You were warned. You saw. You stayed. I didn't hear it the first night. Or maybe I did. The first night. I unpacked, ate some takeout, and went to bed in the apartment I'd rented in an old downtown building. It wasn't fancy, just a small studio with a kitchenette, a tiny bathroom, and a weirdly loud air duct that ran along the ceiling above the bed. I thought nothing of it. Just old construction. Cheap HVAC. The second night, I woke up around 2:37 a.m. At first, I thought it was a dream. A whisper, so faint I barely heard it, coming from somewhere above me. Help. I froze. It wasn't my imagination. My apartment was silent, the kind of quiet where every creak and hum stands out. I turned on the light. Nothing moved. No windows open, no heating vent rattling. I sat up, listening. The whisper came again. Help me. It was muffled, soft, almost as if it were speaking through the metal duct itself. I told myself it was just the building settling. Old pipes, airflow, pressure differences. Anything to explain it rationally. But over the next few nights, it became louder. First a whisper. Then words forming sentences. I'm stuck. Please, help me. Don't leave me. I checked every vent in the apartment. Closed, locked, sealed. Nothing unusual. No hidden openings. Just the normal HVAC grate above the bed. I even had an inspector come over during the day. He ran his hands over the duct. Shook his head. Old building. Nothing's in there. You're fine. But I wasn't. By the third night, I was lying in bed, staring at the ceiling. The whispering had changed. Not words now. Names. A soft garbled list of names. Anna. David. Jeremy. Emily. Some were familiar. I recognized my friends' names from my phone contacts. That made my chest tighten. I checked the vents again. Nothing. The air flowed normally. No one inside the metal tubes. And yet I felt it. Someone or something above me, watching, waiting. Trapped in the ductwork. I started sleeping with a flashlight clutched in my hand. At exactly 3:02 a.m. I heard movement. Not through the floorboards. Not outside the apartment. Inside the duct. A faint scrape along the metal. Like fingernails dragging. Then a voice, low and hoarse, almost inside my head. "I can hear you. Help me," I screamed. The sound echoed in the small studio. I ran to the front door. Checked the lock. Locked. No sign of anyone. I went back to bed, shaking, and the whispering continued all night. Sometimes sentences, sometimes just repeated words. Help. Trapped. Don't forget. I didn't sleep. The fourth night I recorded it. I set my phone on the dresser, hit record, and lay under the covers, pretending to be asleep. At 2:45 a.m., the whispering started. "Help me. They're listening." Then a scraping sound, clawing, scraping, metal on metal. I rolled over, panicked, and the vent above the bed rattled violently. "Don't look." The voice was closer now. Not distant. Not muffled. "Don't look, or you'll be next." I told the host about it the next morning. She sounded hesitant. "The air ducts are old. Sometimes they make noises. Maybe you're just hearing echoes." I insisted. "It's a voice. Someone is trapped inside the vents. I swear I heard words." She paused, then said quietly, "Look, I should tell you something. Some tenants, they've heard voices too. But it's just a quirk of the building. Nothing more, okay?" I wasn't convinced. That night I started noticing small things. Lights flickered when the voice spoke. A cold spot formed directly under the vent. The air smelled faintly metallic, like rust and blood. Then my phone buzzed. A notification. An app I didn't install. Just a single message. "We know you hear us." I tried calling my friend. Tried calling the host. Nothing. Phone lines dead. Wi-Fi still worked. But everything digital was delayed, glitchy. Like the signal was passing through metal walls before reaching me. The fifth night. It escalated. I could hear scraping inside the duct all over the apartment, not just above the bed. The voices multiplied. Whispers from the kitchen, the bathroom, the closet. Each one saying a different name. Anna. David. Emily. Jeremy. Trapped. Can't get out. Help me. I bolted upright, grabbed a flashlight, and aimed it at the vent above the bed. Nothing. Then the scraping moved along the ceiling. Toward the bedroom door. I froze. The doorknob rattled. From the inside? Or the vents? I couldn't tell. Open. I couldn't. The scraping retreated. Then the whispering returned. "You can't escape. We are everywhere." By the sixth night, I realized it wasn't human. This wasn't a trapped tenant. This wasn't someone hiding in the building. It was something living inside the metal. Feeding on sound, waiting for attention, watching me slowly lose my mind. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't leave. Every time I tried to contact the outside world, there were glitches. Every time I tried to ignore it, the whispers returned louder, sharper. Demanding. The seventh night, I tried something different. I climbed a chair, removed the vent cover above the bed, and shined my flashlight inside. Nothing. Just metal, dust, and a faint metallic smell. Then I heard it. Closer than ever. Right behind me. You see me now. I'm right here. I spun around. Empty room. But the flashlight reflected on the ceiling, and I saw a shadow moving inside the vent. Thin, long-limbed, stretching unnaturally to fit inside the metal tube. Help. Trapped. You're next. I ran out of the apartment. I didn't grab anything. I didn't lock the door. I didn't even check if my keys were in my pocket. The hallway outside was empty. But the moment I stepped into the street, I realized the building wasn't dark. Not empty. Windows lit up one by one, all facing the studio. But no lights were on inside. No one was home, and I could hear the whispers from inside the vents. traveling through the walls, out the windows, along the street. You can't escape. We're inside you. I didn't go back inside the apartment that night. I parked 3 blocks away, shivering, flashlight in hand, staring at the building. Streetlights flickered intermittently. The night was unnaturally silent. I could hear nothing, no traffic, no wind, nothing except a faint metallic hiss, high-pitched and distant. Like breathing, or whispering through the metal of the building itself. By 2:13 a.m., I heard it again, not through the vents, not through the walls. From somewhere inside my head, come back. I froze. My pulse rattled in my ears. I didn't move. You can't leave. I knew I was being watched. Not from outside, not from any human angle I could understand. From inside. Everywhere inside. I drove to a 24-hour diner down the street and sat under the harsh fluorescent lights, trying to convince myself it was exhaustion. I ordered coffee and a slice of pie I didn't even want. My hands shook so badly I spilled sugar on the table. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the vent above my bed, heard the scraping, felt the cold airflow unnaturally down my neck. The next day, I called the building manager. She didn't answer at first. When she did, her voice was strange, slow, careful, almost rehearsed. The vents. What about them? I asked. Nothing, she said. They've always made noises. You'll get used to it. Don't worry about it. Her words didn't reassure me. They frightened me, because I hadn't asked her to reassure me. I had asked her if anyone could be in the ducts. She paused, then said quietly, almost to herself, "They were never supposed to hear you." I spent the day researching the building. It was old, 1920s construction. Massive brick exterior, steel beams, and an HVAC system that had been retrofitted over the decades. I checked public records. No incidents. No tenants missing. No reports of sound complaints beyond the usual old building noises. I looked at the vents in my unit. One main duct ran the entire length of the studio, with small offshoots feeding the kitchenette, bathroom, and closet. I pressed my ear to one vent. Nothing. Then, a low rasp. Finally, listening. I jumped back, tripping over a chair. The vent was empty. Just empty metal. That night I returned, I had no choice. I couldn't leave my stuff. And I couldn't stop myself from seeing it, from being watched. I sat on the couch, lights on, phone recording. Flashlight aimed at the ceiling. At exactly 2:49 a.m., the vent rattled, loud, sharp, as if someone were dragging a metal rod along it. Then the whisper, "We've been waiting. You're next." I shined the flashlight directly at the vent. Nothing, but the air felt thick, heavy, cold. My hair stood on end. I could feel something moving inside the metal, adjusting, waiting. I tried to block it out. I closed my eyes, tried to breathe, tried to convince myself it was imagination. But the next sound made me shiver through every bone in my body. A small wet scrape, like fingernails dragging along metal. Directly above me. Then the whisper, "Do you hear them? Names. Trapped." I opened my eyes. The shadow stretched across the ceiling, along the metal duct, impossibly thin, impossibly long. It wasn't entirely there. Not fully. But I could see a shape, moving independently of the room's light. I realized then, it wasn't just in the vent. It was in everything. Every shadow. Every reflection. Every small metallic surface caught a glimpse of it. I couldn't touch it. I couldn't move it. And yet, I could feel it. Pressing against me. Through the air, through the walls, through my skull. "We've been here a long time," it whispered, all at once. Dozens of voices layering, echoing. Garbled, but distinct. Trapped. Waiting. Trapped. Waiting. I ran to the closet, locked it, and hid inside. The voices followed. I could hear scraping inside the closet vent. Faint but deliberate, like someone testing the metal, stretching through it, probing for weakness. You can't hide. We know where you sleep. The cold in the air turned sharp. My chest ached. My bones felt brittle. I couldn't breathe. Couldn't move. Couldn't think. Then silence. I didn't mean to find it. I was unpacking my suitcase in the living room of the Airbnb I had rented in a small Pennsylvania town. The house was beautiful in the listing photos. A 2-story brick with high ceilings, a huge kitchen, and cozy, modern decor. Everything looked lived in, but in a nice, curated way. I was excited to spend a long weekend here alone. No distractions, just work, reading, and a little escape from city life. I had just pulled my laptop out of my bag when I noticed something odd. A slight bulge in the floor near the rug. It was subtle. A square outline, maybe 10 inches across. At first, I thought it was part of the flooring, just uneven wood or repair. But then I noticed a small metal handle embedded in the wood. Flat, flush, almost hidden. A hatch. I froze for a second. It wasn't listed. Not in the photos. Not in the description. The Airbnb had said the house was 2 stories, basement optional. But the basement had been explicitly described as unavailable to guests. I had assumed it was just storage. Maybe the host stored cleaning supplies or an old wine rack. Curiosity overcame my hesitation. I knelt down and pulled the handle. The hatch gave with a soft groan. Dust rose in the air. The opening revealed a narrow flight of stairs descending into darkness. I couldn't see the bottom. A faint smell hit me. Damp earth, mold, something metallic underneath. I hesitated. The rational part of me told myself to leave it alone. This was clearly not meant for guests. I was supposed to stay upstairs, ignore the basement, respect the host's rules. But I was alone. And something deep in me wanted to see what was down there. I grabbed my flashlight from the kitchen drawer and crawled down the stairs. The air grew colder as I descended. It smelled stronger, a mix of wet wood, mildew, and something that made the back of my throat dry. The walls were stone, rough and cold. The floor below was concrete, uneven. When I reached the bottom, I clicked on my flashlight. The room was bigger than I expected. It was full of suitcases. Dozens of them, stacked haphazardly along the walls, some ripped, some rotting, some taped closed. Each one looked like it had been there a long time, collecting dust, smelling like damp clothes left to mold. I stepped forward cautiously. The beam of my flashlight reflected off something shiny under one of the stacks. A cell phone. Modern black. The screen lit up when I picked it up. I froze. There were no chargers. No wires, just the phone powered on. And a single text notification. It read, "Don't move. Don't touch anything else." I dropped it immediately. My hands shaking. I realized then, this wasn't a storage basement. It wasn't meant for guests at all. It was something else. I took a step back and noticed the smell had changed slightly. Not just mildew, iron, blood. I blinked and caught movement out of the corner of my eye. A shadow, quick, fleeting, slipping. Behind the suitcases. Shined my light toward it. Nothing. Just the stacked luggage. Dusty and silent, but I could feel it. Someone or something was there. Watching, waiting. Swallowed hard and went to leave. The stairs looked farther away than before. Longer, narrower. And then I noticed. The hatch I had entered through had closed slightly. I hadn't touched it. I pulled it open. Just a little. Enough to squeeze through. A scraping sound came from the corner behind me. Low, wet, metallic. I didn't look. I ran up the stairs, not daring to glance back. The hatch snapped closed behind me. Hard. My chest heaving. I leaned against the wall, breathing heavily. I tried to convince myself it was nothing. Dust falling from the old floorboards, shadows playing tricks. My imagination heightened by solitude. But then I noticed the smell on my clothes. Not dust, not mildew. Something iron-like. I took off my hoodie. Smelled it. Copper. Warm. Fresh. I felt the hairs on the back of my neck stand. The next morning, I cautiously explored the rest of the house. It looked normal. Clean. Empty. No signs of anyone being in the basement. No damp footprints. No sounds. But then I heard it. A soft click, coming from somewhere deep inside the walls. I paused. Heart pounding. Silence. Another click. Repeated. Too regular. Too deliberate. Not a loose pipe. Not a settling building. Someone or something was moving down there. Didn't sleep that night. I stayed in the living room with every light on, the blanket pulled over my shoulders. My phone recording every sound. At 3:04 a.m., the scraping started again. Not upstairs. Not above me. Not the floorboards. The sound came from beneath. Basement. The hatch. Was moving. Slow. Calculated. Testing. Waiting. Then a whisper. You shouldn't have come down here. I froze. The voice was dry, cold, metallic. Not human. Not friendly. It repeated. You shouldn't have come down here. I spent the rest of the night awake, listening to the sounds of someone or something pacing behind the hatch. The scraping. The low metallic clicks. And every now and then, the faintest breathing. Morning came. The house seemed normal. I checked the hatch. Closed. No sounds. No footprints. Just the same faint dust I'd disturbed when I first opened it. I tried calling the host. No answer. Text messages went unread. I couldn't convince myself to go down again. But I couldn't ignore it either, because I knew something was living in that basement, and it had been there long before I arrived. I tried to leave right after sunrise. The bags were half packed, the car keys already in my hand. But something stopped me at the front door. The sound. A slow scrape under the floorboards, like something metal dragging across concrete. Then 3 knocks. Not on the door. From underneath it. I told myself I was being ridiculous. I grabbed my suitcase and turned the knob. It wouldn't turn. The deadbolt wasn't engaged, but the handle felt jammed, like someone on the other side was holding it still. I yanked until my shoulder ached. It didn't budge. Then faintly through the wood, stay. One word. Not shouted, whispered. Patient. I let go of the handle. I ran to the kitchen for my phone. Dead. Plugged in all night, but the screen was black. No power, no signal. The fridge had stopped humming too. The entire house was silent, except for that soft metallic click from beneath the rug. I knelt down. The hatch outline was there again. Only now, the metal handle was up, like someone below had lifted it halfway. I wanted to scream. Instead I said, I'm leaving. Whoever you are, I'm leaving. The hatch creaked. Then stillness. I backed away, grabbed my keys, and decided to try the back door. It opened easily. I stepped out onto the porch, flooded with daylight and cold air. And I swear I felt something exhale behind me, hot. Damp, close enough to stir my hair. I ran to the car. Threw my suitcase in and turned the ignition. The engine coughed once and died. Dashboard dark. Battery fine yesterday. When I looked back at the house, the front door was standing wide open. The binder of house rules, something I hadn't even noticed before, was sitting on the porch rail. The top page fluttered in the wind. Across it, in the same thick black marker as the other listings I'd stayed in, were 4 new words. Don't leave the basement open. I don't remember walking back inside. Only that suddenly I was there again, standing above the hatch with my flashlight. The handle was still raised, inviting. I wanted to close it, nail it shut, cover it with furniture. But before I could move, the phone I'd found down there the first night buzzed from under the rug. Just one vibration. One new message on the cracked screen. It's awake. Then the hatch shuddered. Something below scraped against the stairs, slow, deliberate, heavy. I aimed my flashlight into the opening. A shape moved at the bottom, dragging itself along the floor. Pale, thin arms, wrong angles. I couldn't see a face, only a suggestion of ribs, shoulder blades, and a jaw that looked too long. It climbed one step. Then another. The air smelled like iron and soil and rot. I slammed the hatch down and dropped to my knees, pressing my full weight on it. Thud. 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 Each hit from below rattled the dishes in the cabinets. The wood bent beneath my palms, then it stopped. For a few seconds, there was only my heartbeat and the faint hiss of dust settling. Then, through the thin line where the hatch met the floor, "Don't lock me in again." I ran to the garage for something heavy, a toolbox, a chair, anything. When I came back, the hatch was flush with the floor again. Handle down. Perfectly still, but the smell lingered. That metallic tang. And on the floor beside it, dusty footprints. Bare, small, leading toward the hallway. I followed them with the flashlight. They ended at the guest room door, which I knew for a fact had been shut since I arrived. It was open now. Inside, the air felt colder. My breath came out white. The footprints stopped at the bed. Under the bedspread, something moved, very slowly. I lifted the edge of the blanket. A suitcase. Not mine. The same brand and color as the ones in the basement. Its zipper trembled. Inching open on its own, I dropped the light, grabbed the blanket, and yanked it back over the bed. Ran. I barricaded myself in the living room. Moved the couch against the hatch. Stacked chairs on top of that. I sat there until dark, listening. Every hour or so, something thudded beneath me. Sometimes it sounded like a hand. Sometimes like a breath. At midnight, my phone screen flickered to life for the first time all day. A text appeared on its own. From host Barrowhouse. "Thank you for closing the hatch. Please keep it sealed. Don't respond to the voices. They lie." Then another text immediately after, from the same number. "Actually, open it. It's safer that way." The messages began alternating. Open it, close it, open it, close it, until the screen went black again. I should have noticed it the moment I clicked on the listing. A cozy little cottage in a quiet town. Just enough photos to make it look homey. Living room with a stone fireplace, a small kitchen, a single bedroom. The description said, "Quiet, secluded, perfect for writers, couples, or solo travelers." 5-star reviews. I scrolled down. All 5 stars. All glowing. All posted on the same day, March 3rd, 2022. Every single review. I blinked. Scrolled back. The timestamps hadn't changed. Not a week apart. Not a month. All March 3rd. Felt watched but cozy. Host was polite. Great location. A very strange yet charming experience. I tried not to overthink it. Maybe the host uploaded old reviews all at once? A glitch? Some marketing ploy? But as I booked the stay and drove to the town, something about that day kept gnawing at me. The cottage was exactly like the photos. Quaint, comfortable, small, but welcoming. I unpacked. Made a cup of tea. The first night passed quietly, almost too quietly. Then I found the GUESTBOOK. Sitting on the kitchen counter. A small leather-bound book with thick yellowed pages. I flipped it open. Every entry was dated March 3rd, 2022. Every entry said something similar to the online reviews. Cozy but watched. Charming but odd. I laughed nervously. The handwriting changed, different styles, different inks. All on the same page. Same day. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept hearing noises. Small, subtle. Footsteps in the hallway. A door closing gently. The fireplace crackling even though I hadn't lit it. I tried to tell myself it was the wind. Old house noises. My imagination. At 2:56 a.m., I saw movement in the kitchen, a shadow, flickering under the cabinet light. I blinked. Nothing. Then the guest book slid across the counter, slowly, like it was being pushed. No wind, no vibration. I froze. Then a whisper from the corner, "Read the reviews." I didn't move. The next morning, I checked the reviews again. On the Airbnb page. Everything had changed. The glowing comments were gone. Only one remained. March 3rd. You'll see why. The time stop? Today, I felt a chill creep up my spine. I didn't want to leave. Not yet. I was curious. Terrified, yes. But curiosity held me hostage. That night, the whispering returned. Check the guest book. I opened it. The entries had changed. We're still here. You can't leave. March 3rd, and the last page, blank before, now had 4 words scrawled in black ink. You were next. I felt eyes on me all night, watching, following. And that's when I noticed it. All the doors in the cottage were slightly ajar, even though I'd closed and locked them. Even the bedroom door, even the closet. And every few minutes, I heard it, a soft, measured knock, coming from the corner of the room where the guest book sat. I didn't sleep. Sat in the living room with the guest book on my lap, flashlight in one hand, every light in the cottage on. The whispers returned around 3:12, a soft, deliberate, like the voice of someone breathing directly into the paper. Read us. I flipped through the pages. Every entry repeated itself now, over and over. Cozy but watched. Charming but odd. Felt someone in the corner of the room. You are next. The handwriting kept changing, some large, some tiny, some rushed. Ink smeared in streaks as if someone had used wet hands to write. The smell hit me next. Not ink, not paper. Something iron-like, metallic, blood. I tried to leave the house. The front door was locked from the inside. Not by me. Not by a key, just locked. I checked the windows, closed. Latches tight. And then I heard it again. Soft footsteps, pacing across the floorboards in the hallway. Slow, deliberate, calculated. You shouldn't leave. Not yet. I backed into the living room, dragging the guest book with me. The whispers were louder now, layered, like dozens of voices speaking at once. You are next. March 3rd. We were waiting for you. The book trembled in my hands. Pages fluttered open on their own, to the very first entry. March 3rd. We're here. We're waiting. I stumbled backward, hitting the wall. My flashlight fell to the floor and rolled under the couch. I crawled after it, heart hammering. When I looked up, the corner of the room was different. The shadows weren't natural. They had depth. They stretched across the walls, almost solid. One of them moved toward me, slow, deliberate. A pale, elongated figure with no discernible face, just a suggestion of eyes and mouth, distorted, watching. I screamed. The door creaked. Not from the hallway. From inside the walls. From the floorboards beneath me, I leapt to my feet. The book slammed shut on its own. The air grew cold, sharp, like someone had opened a freezer inside the room. Then I heard it. Unmistakable. You can't leave. You're part of March 3rd now. I ran to the bedroom. Slamming the door behind me, I locked it. I piled chairs against it, shoved the dresser in front. The whispers followed, from the vents. From the floor. From the corners. From inside the guestbook itself. Read us. Next, March 3rd. I buried my face in my hands. Every instinct told me to run. Every logical thought screamed that this wasn't real. But it was. And then I realized it had been watching me since the moment I booked. Since the moment I clicked on that listing. The reviews weren't reviews. They were warnings. All from the same day, all from the same original victim. And now, every entry, every scribble, every word in the guestbook was a part of a growing chorus. Marking me. Hours passed. The light from my phone flickered in my hands. I tried calling 911, no signal. Tried calling Airbnb. No connection. By 4 a.m., I was shaking. I couldn't hold the book anymore. I threw it across the room. It landed on the floor with a loud thud, but when I glanced back, it was open again. Pages flipping rapidly as if caught in a wind that didn't exist. The last page stopped moving. And my blood ran cold. You were next. I ran to the window. It was locked. But I could see movement outside. Figures, shapes, shadows slipping between the trees and the yard. No faces, no light. Just motion. Watching me, waiting. I slammed the window shut. Backed into the corner, shaking. Tears streaking my face. The whispers returned louder, clearer. A chorus of voices. March 3rd. March 3rd. March 3rd. We see you. You are next. I tried to scream. My voice was swallowed by the room. By dawn, the figures were gone. The guest book lay open on the floor. One page turned to a final message, freshly written. We will wait for you next year. I packed my things. Left the cottage without turning back. Didn't call the host. Didn't leave a review. Months later, I checked online. The listing still existed. Same photos. Same description. The reviews? All 5-star. All posted on March 3rd, 2022. And sometimes, late at night, when the wind blows just right, I can hear whispers from my apartment window. Next year. March 3rd. We'll see you. The second I heard the back door click shut, I knew I wasn't alone. I had just returned from a late-night walk. The kind you take in a small town when the streets are empty and the air smells faintly of wet asphalt and wood smoke. My Airbnb was a small 2-bedroom house near the edge of the historic district. All brick, creaky floors, and high ceilings. The kind of place that looks charming in daylight and ominous at night. I set my bag down, flicked the lights on, and heard it again call on click. Soft, precise, not a draft. Not the wind. I froze. The house was supposed to be mine alone. The listing clearly said, private stay. No other guests. Fully self-contained. I checked the door, locked, deadbolt engaged. I checked the windows. Closed, secure. No one. I told myself it was just nerves. Old floors, shadows from the street lamp outside, maybe a raccoon on the porch. That night, I went to bed early. Work had left me exhausted. I set my alarm, curled up under the quilt, and tried to ignore the odd feeling creeping along my spine, the sense that the house was watching me. At exactly 3 a.m. I woke. The bedroom door had shifted slightly. Not cracked open, just a fraction, like it had been nudged. I frowned. I closed my eyes, convinced it was sleep-deprived imagination. Then my phone buzzed. A notification, timestamp 3:01 a.m. Don't leave the room. I sat upright. The door rattled. I hadn't touched it. It's 3:01. Don't open it. I tried to ignore it. I pulled the covers over my head, but the rattling continued, rhythmic. Soft at first, then louder, like something was pressing against the other side of the wood. I got up, heart pounding, and tried the doorknob. It wouldn't turn. Not a jam. Not stuck, locked, but the deadbolt wasn't engaged. Someone or something was holding it shut. I yanked. Nothing. The rattling became knocking, slow, heavy, measured. Open. A voice whispered. Not loud, not screaming. Just patient, I screamed. Yelled at it. Threw myself against the door. Nothing. I went to the window. Outside, the street was empty. No movement. No one. The knocking stopped. Silence. Then from the vent above the bed, a soft scrape. Metal against metal. Someone or something moving above me, pacing. Waiting. I grabbed my phone trying to record. But the camera app refused to open. Nothing worked. My Wi-Fi was down. The house was completely cut off from the outside world. I sat on the bed, trembling. The sense of being watched intensified. Shadows seemed to stretch and shift in the corners of the room. At 3:15 a.m., the doorknob rattled again. But this time, I heard it from inside the room. Not the other side of the door. Inside. I bolted upright. The handle twisted in my hand, but it didn't move. The wood felt solid. Impossibly solid. Then a knock, not on the door, but on the floorboards beneath me. Tap, tap, tap. Slow, deliberate. In a rhythm I somehow recognized. You shouldn't have come back. I spent hours trying to rationalize it. Exhaustion, anxiety, shadows, old wood, settling. But at 3:45 a.m., I realized it wasn't settling. It was patiently waiting, responding to my every move, trapping me in the room. I checked every corner. Opened the closet. Under the bed. Behind the dresser. Nothing, and yet I felt it. Pressing against me. Watching. Every creak. Every whisper. Every draft. It was deliberate, calculated, not random. I didn't sleep. At dawn, I attempted the door again. Still locked. The moment I stepped outside the room toward the hall, the doorknob rattled violently. I jumped back. My backpack dropped, papers scattered. The room was solid. The lock invisible. I tried calling 911. Phone dead. Text messages bounced. I tried shouting to the neighbors. Silence. The walls seemed to pulse, almost breathing. By the second night, I realized it wasn't random. It always happened at 3 a.m. Exactly 3:01. The door wouldn't open. The knocking began. The whispers started. The scratches along the floorboards and venting above. Always at the same time. I marked it on a calendar. Circle after circle, each day. It wasn't a house. It was a timer. And whatever was in there wasn't just holding the door. It was waiting for the time to pass. I spent the days barricading furniture, testing locks, trying to stay awake until sunrise, but it didn't care. At exactly 3:01, it began. The first time I looked at the floorboards, I noticed scratches forming slowly across the wood-long shallow, like fingernails trying to escape from underneath. Then the knocking came. Tap, tap, tap. A whisper. Open. It's time. I screamed. It didn't stop. I couldn't stop. I backed away from the door and fell onto the bed. Covered my head. Don't hide. You can't escape. The hours between 3:01 and sunrise were endless. By morning, the scratches were gone. The doorknob was normal. The air smelled like something had moved inside the room overnight. I didn't tell anyone. I couldn't. I spent the day trying to leave the house, trying to book a hotel, trying to escape the timing, but the host's rules in the binder, one page, handwritten, stuck in my mind. The house watches at night. Do not open the door after 3 a.m. I had ignored it. I had learned what it meant too late. I didn't sleep that night. Not really. I stayed on the bed, clutching the blanket like it could shield me, staring at the bedroom door. Every clock in the room ticked toward 3 a.m., and I could feel it building. A presence, watching, exactly at 3:01 a.m. The doorknob rattled, hard, repeatedly, tap, tap, tap. Like someone outside the door was testing it, measuring it, mocking me. I jumped up. Tried to open it. Nothing. The door wouldn't budge. I slammed my shoulder into it. Nothing. I yanked on the handle. Nothing. The lock wasn't engaged. No key. Nothing holding it shut, except whatever was behind it. And then I heard it. A low, dry whisper from the other side of the door. You shouldn't have stayed. The voice was calm, patient, not angry, not pleading, just aware. You're late. I stepped back. My hands shook. I wanted to call someone, anyone, but my phone, which had worked perfectly all day, was dead. No signal. No Wi-Fi. No reception. You shouldn't leave, it said again. I ran to the window, hoping I could climb out, escape somehow. It was locked. I tried to break it. Nothing. Solid. Unyielding. The air grew colder. I could see my breath, even though it was summer. Then the knocking started again. But not the same tapping from before. This time, heavy, deliberate, inside the room. Beneath my feet. The floorboards groaned, scratched, shifted. You can't run. I screamed. I barricaded myself with the dresser, the bed, the chair, anything I could find. The sound didn't stop, scraping along the floorboards. Heavy steps above me, no, beneath me. A whisper, low and dry. Time is ours. You belong here now. I pressed my ears to the floor. My own heartbeat deafening. Something shifted under the hatch in the floor. I didn't remember a hatch before, but there it was now, like it had been waiting for me. A soft click. Metal against wood. And then the whisper, directly inside my head. You can't leave. Not until 3:01 again. I realized then, this wasn't just a door. It wasn't just a room. It was a trap. A timer. And the moment the clock struck 3:01, it would claim me. I spent hours trying to open it. Pushed. Pulled. Yelled. Slammed. Every attempt failed. Every attempt reminded me I was alone, completely. The shadows stretched longer. The walls breathed faintly. The ceiling pressed down. And the whispers grew louder. A chorus of voices overlapping, crawling into my ears. You shouldn't have stayed. You are late. Time belongs to us. At some point, I realized I was crying. The knocking changed, faster, louder, scraping across the floorboards, venting through the ceiling. Not random, calculated, waiting, testing. I tried to cover my ears, close my eyes, block it all out. You can't hide. And the clock ticked. 3:01 a.m., the door shuddered. I could feel it flex under some invisible pressure. It's time. I collapsed against the wall, shivering. My flashlight flickered and died. The room plunged into darkness. The knocking became scraping. Closer, under the bed, in the closet, above my head. And then, the voice. Directly behind me. Not through the door. Not through the walls. You tried to leave. You can't. I spun around, nothing, but the shadow in the corner moved, long, thin, unnatural, pressed against the wall, against the floor. Watching, waiting, I backed into the dresser. It followed, across the floor. No sound, only the sense of pressure, the feeling of being pressed from all sides. Hours passed, or maybe minutes. I couldn't tell. Time had no meaning. Every sound was amplified. Floorboards, scratching, breathing. Then silence. I opened my eyes. Daylight. The room was normal. The shadows gone. The floorboards quiet. The door. I twisted the knob. It worked. Opened easily. I ran. Packed my bag. Left without looking back. When I returned home, I told myself it was over, but I can still hear it sometimes. At night, when the clock ticks close to 3, a faint creak. A whisper behind the door, you're late. I check every lock, every door, every window. But I can feel it. Waiting, counting, patient. Because one day, I will forget the time, and it will be 3:01.